Standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Turning the microphone over to Mr. Trombley.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, President Mills. As part of the school district, there's a few evenings that remind us of what a special place we have to work here at Hendrick-Hudson, but also in our roles as educators and the enjoyable human and life events that we get to participate in. Those, of course, are the first day of school, which is the happiest time of the year. It's tenure reception, and then the purpose that we are gathered here tonight is to honor the dedication, professionalism, and service of a number of those individuals who are moving on to the next phase in their life. It's a journey of retirement. So before we get started, because this is such an exciting event, I want to make sure we take time to pause and thank individuals who made this event possible. I'd like to thank Ms. Fran Dodaro for putting together this evening. Dr. Stephen Garcia for helping Fran Dodaro put this together as well. And to our building principals who will be here to recognize their staff members who are retiring. And of course, we could not have such a celebration without gathering around a table of yummy food and refreshing beverages. So thank you. I know she's back in the breezeway, but thank you to Claire Carey for her dedication. So it's my honor to welcome you to a very special part of this evening's meeting, our annual retirement reception and recognition. Each year we pause to recognize, not the next presentation, we pause to recognize individuals who have given so much of themselves to the Hendrick-Hudson School District. Tonight we celebrate this year's retirees, those whose careers have been defined by an unwavering commitment, compassion, and dedication to our students, our schools, and our community. Their impact not only is measured in years of service, but in the hundreds, if not thousands of lives that they have touched along the way. On behalf of the Board of Education, the administration, and the entire Hendrick-Hudson community, we look forward tonight to thanking our retirees for their years of outstanding service. So to our retirees, we do not gather simply tonight to celebrate your career, but to honor your life of service. Your lives have been spent shaping the hearts and minds of young people across our district. Each retiree we recognize tonight has undoubtedly left a unique and lasting mark on Hendrick-Hudson and the students who grace the halls here. And we are grateful for your years of dedication. We thank you for your passion, your energy, and your heart that you brought to this work. As you begin your new chapter, please know that your legacy remains firmly planted here. You will always be a part of the Hendrick-Hudson story, forever connected to the students whose lives you've shaped and the colleagues whose journeys you've enriched. There's a quote I like to, I'm sure you've heard it all, but I'm going to say it again. I'm sure you've heard this quote enough, by Henry Brooks Adams, that I feel is especially fitting for this evening. And Henry Brooks Adams says, "A teacher affects eternity. They can never tell when their influence stops." And that sentiment applies to each of our retirees and their families alike, because you share your family member with us. Your job may have been defined by years in your roles, your impact on lives on every student that you guided, every colleague you supported, and every family you inspired. You have shared your lives with our children and our community. And please know that that legacy is enduring. As you enter this next chapter, it is our wish that your retirement is filled with the quiet rewards of a job well done, with moments of peace, joy, reflection, and I hope you really understand the satisfaction of knowing that you made a difference. On behalf of the entire Hendrick-Hudson School District, once again, thank you. You will always be part of our story. So we have a number of retirees who are able to join us in person. Many of those could not tonight. So we will call up, starting with the high school. I'll introduce the principal. The principal will say a few words. And we do have a beautiful and symbolic, this is unique to Hendrick-Hudson, recognition token, I'm assuming this is to enjoy your new time on the beach. As a sailor, you can think of it as stepping off the ship onto the beach that you have found. So others cannot attend, including Mr. Giovanazzi. I do want to just speak to Mr. Giovanazzi's retirement as well. As you know, he's the principal of the Blue Mountain Middle School. He has spent time in our district in the high school. Anthony and Settler, others are not physically present tonight, but please know that, I'm sure they're watching at home, that you are very much in our thoughts. We will honor you just as deeply, and your contributions are felt across the halls, classrooms, and communities which they serve with such heart. So we wish them well. I'm going to stay up here, just because it's been a while since I've talked at a podium, but I wanted to take a moment to recognize Dr. Margaret Ruller. So Dr. Ruller is retiring as our Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and it should be everything else, because so much runs through the Curriculum and Instruction Office. We are here to educate students, and so Margaret's job is varied, vast, and rewarding, as I'm sure she will explain. Since joining Hendrick Hudson in 2015, Dr. Ruller has led with vision, empathy, and an unwavering belief in the potential of every student and educator. Throughout her tenure, Dr. Ruller has been a steady force behind our instructional programs, guiding the development of curriculum, advancing professional learning, mentoring to new educators, and helping our staff navigate an ever-changing landscape of teaching and learning, which her leadership was perhaps ever more vital because that teaching and learning environment took a change when we all entered the COVID-19 pandemic. She supported staff and students through what I think we can all agree is one of the most challenging periods in modern education, and she did so with grace and resolve. And you may say, well, how do you know that? You weren't here. I've spoken to educators, I have seen the results, and Margaret and I actually were colleagues in the curriculum instruction realm, and so I had the pleasure of knowing Margaret before I came here, serving with her as a regional colleague. Dr. Ruller's work has left a lasting mark on our schools and the broader educational community. Her thoughtful approach to curriculum, commitment to excellence, and the belief in the power of education will continue to echo through the work of those who she's mentored and inspired. Dr. Ruller, thank you for your leadership, your heart, and your years of dedicated service to Hendrick Hudson. We wish you joy, fulfillment, and well-deserved rest in your retirement, especially with those new grandchildren. And congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for making Hendrick Hudson a better place. It's like an awkward middle school dance. Thank you. So I will now ask Principal of Hendrick Hudson High School, Ms. Lauren Scollins, to come and speak on our high school retirees.
Thank you. I'm going to start by speaking about Dr. Rogers. Dr. Rogers, we want to thank you so much for all of your hard work at Hendrick Hudson High School. I am continued to be impressed by you and Mr. Zollner's lifelong learning, and you really embody what we want our students to take away when they graduate from Hendrick Hudson High School. I recently had the pleasure of witnessing the Science Research Symposium, which is an incredible evening where our students shine and share what they shared with the larger Hudson Valley community about their research and what they've done in her class. It is incredible to see how she makes connections for students and helps them grow and learn things that I didn't even think were possible. So thank you so much for all of your service, and I know you'll be overseas next year, but I hope you come back and visit us in the Science Research Program and join us in the future. Mr. Zollner, I can't tell you how many students have told me, ninth graders specifically, that you make physics so much fun. I don't think I would have ever said that in high school. So thank you, first of all, for making learning fun for our students. You too embody lifelong learning and are always eager for feedback and wanting to grow and learn each and every day at Hendrick Hudson High School. That has been unwavering in your time here. You will be missed in our after-school programs, our STEM, and our Project Lead the Way. But we know that hopefully you will be back, as you and I have been talking curriculum and future plans. I will be picking your brain as we move forward. So thank you so much for your service, and we look forward to seeing your next chapter.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. I am going to fill in for Mr. Giovinazzi. I just want to check the list here. And we will have Ms. Michelle O'Neill come to the podium after we say a few kind words about her. So Mr. Giovinazzi wanted me to express that Ms. O'Neill is a valued member of the Blue Mountain Middle School, serving in many capacities. Throughout her tenure at BMMS, she has supported the technology department, library, and coverage of various classes. She has an amazing ability to connect and support students, as well as meet the needs of the building. Ms. O'Neill is extremely reliable, professional, and dedicated to our school community. And this is in bold and underlined. She will be missed. So, Ms. O'Neill, thank you. Just want to make sure before we move on, we don't have any other middle school colleagues. Scanning. Okay, thank you. I'll now ask Principal of Frank G. Lindsay Elementary School, Mr. James Mackin, to come and recognize our Frank G. Lindsay colleagues.
Good evening, everyone. Great to be back here at the high school. Thank you to everyone, and congratulations to all our graduates. Oh my God. You're kind of graduating, right? Right, Alan? So congratulations to all our retirees. Just a quick word. I worked with Dr. Rogers and Mr. Zollner for many, many years. I hired Alan. And I just want to thank you for all the commitment that you gave to the students of Hendrick Hudson High School, and the level of education that you pushed. You pushed the bar in science very high, both of you. And our kids benefited from it, our community benefited from it, and I thank you very much for that. All right. So I have, the last 2 years, been at the elementary level, and I've gotten to learn a lot of things. And I love elementary school. And I love the people that work in elementary schools. And I have the honor to recognize two very accomplished educators tonight. One is Ms. Hughes, and the other is Ms. Ledwin. So I'm going to talk about Ms. Hughes first, because alphabetically, I think age comes first. So congratulations on your retirement, Ms. Hughes. As you close this remarkable chapter, we want you to know just how deeply you've touched the lives of everyone around you. For years, your classroom has been a place of warmth, encouragement, and wonder, a safe haven where every child was seen, heard, and inspired to dream big. Your gentle guidance, unwavering patience, and genuine love of your students have left an imprint that will last a lifetime. You didn't just teach lessons, you nurtured hearts, built confidence, and sparked curiosity that will carry your students far beyond the walls of your classroom. We're so grateful for your dedication, your kindness, and the countless ways you've made our schools a better place. While we'll miss your bright spirit and caring presence, we'll celebrate all that you've accomplished and the legacy you leave behind. Wishing you joy, relaxation, and new adventures in your well-deserved retirement. Thank you, Diane, for everything. Now, some of you may say, he's only worked for her for 1 year. How does he say all this stuff? I mean, if you don't know Diane or you've met her for the first time, everything I said is clearly evident upon meeting her and spending just a brief amount of time with her. So that is something I mean truly. It has been a pleasure to work with you just for this short time. I'm going to need a lot of tissues for Kathy Fuchak, who's going to be wandering around the building looking for her, sister from another mother there. So congratulations. I've known Mrs. Ledwin for a long time. I first met her as a parent, and I've seen a lot of the attributes that she had as a parent trickle down into the classroom. She is somebody that is very sweet, but is somebody that holds people accountable. And as a principal, she held me accountable with the boys who are now men there to make sure that they were getting what they needed, whether it was on the playing field or in the classroom. And what I've been able to appreciate is, as I've worked with Heather over the last 2 years, I've made that comparison and see that in the classroom when you're teaching with your students. So I want to congratulate you, Mrs. Ledwin, on your retirement from teaching elementary school. Your career has been an example of dedication, kindness, and unwavering support for every child who entered your classroom. You have not only taught lessons from books, but you have also instilled confidence, curiosity, and love of learning in your students. The warmth of encouragement you shared each day created a safe and joyful place where children felt valued and inspired to reach their fullest potential. As you begin this new chapter, know that your legacy will live on in the countless lives you have touched. Thank you for your years of service, your compassion, and the difference you've made in our school community as a parent and obviously as a teacher. You will be deeply missed, but the impact of your work will be felt for many years to come. Now, I will not miss the heckling, wily laugh after an NFL Sunday when my miserable Jets have lost and her Bills have won, swimmingly. So I won't miss that, but you can always call me and, heckle me on the phone from wherever you are. So I wish you all the happiness and peace you so richly deserve in your retirement. I know you just love being with your boys, and hopefully they will make sure they spend a lot of time with you in your retirement. Come on up, Pat. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. McEnroe. I'd now like to call Dr. Kramer to speak on our Buchanan Verplank Elementary School honorees this evening.
Thank you and good evening. First, I want to say congratulations to Heather and Diane. I had the pleasure of working with them for 8 years at Furnace Woods. Lots of great memories, and you both deserve a wonderful retirement, so congratulations. I have the pleasure tonight of talking about Mary Fanning. Where are you, Mrs. Fanning? There you are. So, Mary was supposed to retire next year. And I thought, okay, I have a year and a half to get used to this idea and figure out how I'm going to do this without her. And then a few weeks ago, she came to me and she said, guess what? I'm going to retire this year. And I said, no, you can't. So after I got over the shock, I gave her a hug and congratulated her. And I'm thrilled that she's able to do this sooner for her rather than later, but she will be missed. I've only been working with Mary for 3 years, first at Frank G and now at BV, but it seems like I've worked with her much, much longer. She is one of my go-to people at BV. And as I said, I'm not sure how we're going to get by without her, but I'm sure we will. Mary was a parent at BV before she was a teacher, which I didn't actually realize until today when I was talking to some colleagues. So she's been around BV a very long time. She is innovative, collaborative, creative, and a dedicated leader, as well as teacher. She's calm and nurturing and always wants what's best for the kids. She's done everything from technology coach to PBIS member to big building safety team member to teacher in charge, to mentor teacher, to a strategic planning member. She's done everything and so much more. She's always willing to help, never says no, and her door is always open. She's always challenging herself and her students. And some of her students had some things to share. Thank you, Mrs. Saboso, for helping with this. She's nice and does cool activities. She's very kind. She's the best teacher. She teaches us a lot of things to get ready for second grade and let us have fun too. She always helps me when I don't know something, and she always tells me to never give up. So, Mrs. Fanning, I think that sums it all up. Congratulations on your retirement. We'll miss you.
was going to say the best speeches are given by our kids, but even better speeches are given by our own family and children. So, well said. Mr. DiVinanzi. Yes, Mr. DiVinanzi, we know we can't be here tonight, but also Mr. Cohen, principal of Furnace Woods Elementary School, could not be here as well. But we have Miss Laura Aid coming up to say a few words on behalf of the schools.
Good evening. Welcome and congratulations to all the retirees. So proud of you. My name is Laura Eid and I'm here presenting on behalf of Mr. Cohen, who unfortunately could not be here. He's with his children at an event at their school tonight. So I have the honor. Where is this special woman? There she is. Lisa Fanino. So this is what he wrote about you, Lisa. Behind every successful school, there's a secretary who ensures everything runs smoothly. For many years, including the 14 that Mr. Cohen has been in Hen Hut, that secretary has always been you, Lisa Planino. Something Mr. Cohen always says is that every staff member at our schools, regardless of their position, is a teacher. Lisa, you are no exception. Lisa has been a terrific teacher for our students, family members, and staff. But what exactly does she teach? Most importantly, life lessons, how to have manners, including please and thank you, and showing appreciation. Many students and staff have learned that if they come into the office and they start with, I need, might not go over so well. They might need to try again. Mr. Cohen appreciates the balance of that atmosphere and mutual respect and professionalism that has been established by you throughout the years. Everyone knows that Lisa will always be there to help make things easier for our hardworking school community members. She always does a terrific job communicating among staff and families. Additionally, Lisa is a very strong ELA teacher. With a high score on her civil service test, she is well versed in grammar, spelling, and various other conventions of the English language. We have had many learning sessions about tenses, when apostrophes, where apostrophes go, and helping to ensure that everyone knows there is a dash between the B and V for Buchanan Verplank Elementary School. Lisa is a strong math teacher, as exemplified during her years helping with the budget, working on class schedules and sections, student averages, organizing all sorts of data for all sorts of reports, and learning different technologies through the years. Lisa is a great mental health teacher, too. Lisa has helped students who have been angry, upset, scared, nervous. Lisa always loves joking with students, asking about their day, and seeing how she can help. Lisa is also a great teacher around security and safety. Whether it is knowledge around safety plans, policies, or procedures, Lisa can always be counted on for what to do. Lisa is a terrific rule follower, too. Lisa is also a great technology teacher. Must have a special degree around how to use the copier, scanner, laminator, with specialties in enlarging, reducing, collating, and shredding. With all that said, Lisa is an amazing, well-rounded person and professional who we will miss tremendously. Congratulations, Lisa.
So before we give our concluding remarks and transition to the fun part, the boring part of the meeting, I think we all know that schools are a very special place, and it's not necessarily the four walls, the fields, it's the people who make those buildings up, and the joy, the compassion, the dedication they bring. And this evening is just one of those events that we get to honor and celebrate those people. I do want to take a moment to recognize the family and friends who have come tonight to celebrate. Thank you for sharing your loved one with us and for being here to support them. So you are one recognition that we forgot to individual we forgot to recognize is Andrea Barbalato.
We didn't mention her. It's in here, that's why it's in. Yeah.
Oh, yes, there's people, I'm sorry, there are people who were unable to come that are mentioned in the wonderful pamphlet. So we did have individuals, John Anderson, Andrea Barbalato, John Trapowski, James Dobbs, Raymond Gilbert, Anthony Giovinazzi, Frank Miraferati, Thomas O'Reilly, Edward Candy, and Jason Taylor, who were not able to be with us tonight, but their stories and a little bit of background is in a wonderfully put together keepsake that helps to recognize them. So thank you to Fran for putting that together as well, too. So we are going to be moving on with the public business portion of our meeting. You're more than welcome to stay if you would like, or you can use this opportunity to enjoy the beautiful evening. So again, thank you to everybody for coming, and thank you to our principals for your words of kindness.
Good evening and welcome to the Hendrick Hudson Board of Education meeting. Today is June 4th, 2025, and we'll start by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we opened the meeting earlier. We just completed our retirement reception for our retirement staff, which was wonderful. And we are going to, we're doing another motion. Oh, okay.
We didn't do motions.
We didn't open it to go to exec.
We did.
We opened it to go to exec. We didn't.
Now this meeting. Okay. Do I have a motion to open the meeting?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? All right, so we just completed our retirement recognition. We are going to go into our public hearing on the utilization of the repair reserve fund. Is there anyone here to speak to that, about the repair fund?
Excuse me, I was chewing. I apologize. I just, if you want me to, just explain what it's all about?
Sure.
Sure. It's, so we're gonna be doing some work on the resurfacing of the track, and we're gonna be utilizing money from our repair reserve account to do that. Estimate is about $50,000.
And the repair reserve is an existing reserve that we have. We just have to have board authorization to pull from that reserve.
And this is also, if I'm allowed to interject, it's also just for update maintenance that we have to do every couple of years. That was also part of it's part of maintaining the track, plus doing a few of the relines to keep it up to date.
That's correct. We're just using funds from there, and it's only up to $50,000. We've allotted that much. It may not take that much to do what we need to do.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the notice of utilization of the repair reserve fund?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. All right, now we move on to the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as stated? Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? It's time for audience comments on non-agenda items.
There's nobody signed up tonight.
The next is the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything to pull from the consent agenda this evening?
I don't need to.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda, a consent agenda as stated? Motion to.
Second.
All in favor? That brings us to our donations. This evening, we have we're looking to approve a donation of $360.35 for welcome string bags for the 25-26 kindergarten orientation. And these are from the Hendrick Hudson Community Education Foundation. So thank you to the HHCF for providing this donation for our students. Do I have a motion to approve the donation?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you to the HHCEF, and as I can attest, my kindergartner received a string bag today and he loved it.
The next is a donation for $2,500 for the high school graduating class of 2025 for the Richard Albert Scholarship from the Richard Albert Family Foundation. Can I have a motion to approve the Richard Albert Scholarship?
Second.
All in favor? Very generous. This is going to our awards.
This would be going on the senior awards ceremony as part of the number of scholarships that our community and partners generously donate to support the graduating class of 25-26.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, that's the end of the donations. Now we move on to our presentation and discussion, which is a 25-20, where am I? Oh, the hearing of the public on agenda items.
There's the.
Now we move into the presentation and discussion of the 25-26 enrollment and staffing report.
Thank you, President Mills. So this evening, as I often say, if you talk to me in June, I'm going to say it's almost September. If you talk to me in September, I'm going to say it's almost June. So with that in mind, that just clearly illustrates that we are constantly looking towards the future to prepare and to plan in best support of our schools and our students and the staff that inhabit those. We were not going to let Dr. Ruller go into retirement without giving us one more report. So I'm going to ask Dr. Ruller to lead a report tonight that she and Mr. Moreno and Ms. Joy put together on projections, to the best of our knowledge at this time, about staffing and enrollment considerations for the 2025-2026 school year.
And I would like to add, if I may, thanks to the middle school administration who did their pages, and to Lawrence Collins who did the high school pages. It was truly a collaborative effort. So let's go through the numbers together. Pretty self-explanatory. The first page starts with elementary enrollment. You can see some historicals and then projections for next year. Roughly the same attendance. If, to use a phrase, if school were to open tomorrow, we would be down one student. Please note that kindergarten projection is just that. We are right now, I think our registration is about 111 students, and that includes all of our UPK kids who roll over. So it typically is a grade that sees an increase in enrollment once the buses start to roll and people realize that we are in session and we need to get our kids registered. So if you're home and you have a kindergarten student, I urge you to please register your children. So we'll see if we can increase by 40 or so students. And again, we have to think about the UPK kids we have now. If anyone moves out of the district, obviously that number goes down. So it's still a gamble as to what that will end up being. And if we move from that to elementary staffing, you can see across we're projecting that we'll have the same number of sections going into the next school year. You can see what the school sections are for each individual K2 and 3-5, and then across we break teachers out by their certification area so that you can see how many staff are utilized in all of those areas. Okay. Class size projections. So again, based on the projected enrollment for 25-26, that is what we are looking to have next year. 4 sections will remain of each at BV. Furnace Woods, 3 sections of each grade, and Frank G actually moves to 7 of each grade in the coming school year. And then all the way on the right is the average class size based on those numbers. Okay, let's move on to middle school. Same presentation. This is little history and the projection for next year. You can see that next year, that small 5th grade that has been rumbling through the elementary division finally moves to middle school, and so their numbers dropped as a result of that. And they lose 37 children. Again, you know, that's as of today. We don't know what will happen in the coming months as we get closer to registration. Start of school, I apologize. So BMMS staffing looks this way. Same principle as what we had. They are going down 2 sections. I think they lose an ELA and a reading section in the coming school year. And then classroom teachers, they had a retirement in social studies that we didn't replace, so those are 6th grade impacts. So you can see again across, breaking down by certification area, the teachers that make up the middle school faculty. And their slide on class sizes reflects the 6th grade change for next year is reflected there. So they will, as the footnote says, grade 6 will have 2 ELA, 2 math, 2 science teachers. All teachers will pick up a section of social studies. Okay, high school enrollment. They have a slight drop off as well. And then their staffing presented the same way again so that you can see the breakout of the certification areas. They will go down a section, teacher, FTE. And then finally their class sizes, and in preparing this, Lauren pulled out the kids who are CTE students because they would sway the class size if we left them in, so they've been removed. BOCES tech enrollment.
Margaret, if I can interrupt just for a
Please.
moment, I'll use that as a public service announcement that we do partner with BOCES to provide CTE programs for our students. BOCES has seen an increase in their enrollment for those CTE programs, both in the recognition of the trades, having high quality programs, and students showing interest in those programs. So BOCES has been doing a great job partnering with us, letting us know about their capacities. Those capacities, because there has been increased interest, have been reached the past couple of years, and they've done everything within their power to be good partners with us, to reach out and say, here's some alternative programs. We partner also with Southern Westchester BOCES to provide students those opportunities. So it is a topic of conversation between BOCES leadership and our leadership, and they are looking at ways to increase their capacity to support as many students who have that desire to attend those programs as possible. And they're even looking at ways to purchase space within component districts, expand their own footprint. A capital project is feasible for BOCES, but it's a high threshold, because whereas we as one school district have to have our voters and our community voters only approve it, BOCES has a much higher threshold with a number of their component districts having to participate in that and show support. So just putting that out for the board to be aware of, and the public who's watching at home, that we work closely with them to make sure that even though there may be students who might not have an opportunity to go to PNW BOCES, we do look for other options for them.
Margaret, I have a quick question. Are the sections going to remain the same for this year for 3, 4, and 5?
At 3, 4, and 5. So this year it's 8, 7, 6, 8 in 3rd grade, 7 in 4th grade, 6 in 5th grade. As the small class moves to the high school and everybody else moves up, it evens out to be 7 apiece.
Okay, I'm just looking at, if you just look at the sheet, I think it starts at 156, 164, and then it's 167 for 5th grade. But the sheet for the class sizes only shows 159 for 5th grade.
So that's the gen ed population. We take out the students who are in ABC or 1212.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question. Anyone have any other questions? Can you explain on the high school, the final page, how we get to music at an average class size of 11? How is that, because they're typically ensembles and...
I'm going to ask Mrs. Scollins, who happens to be sitting here.
As Ms. Scollins is coming up, I do want to say thank you to the board. This presentation is reflective of the number of questions that you asked as we developed it, and Dr. Reller and Benita and Chris were responsive to that, so we hope it provided information, and we look forward to your questions that you may have, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Scollins.
So that number, that number reflects some of our programs that are special education programs where our general ed kids push in, so there may only be 1 or 2 general education students in that class supporting, for example, Sailor United Sound. Probably should have removed that number and it would have changed it would have gone higher in the class size because it's more larger ensembles, and there may be some of the smaller like lessons included in that.
The lessons are included in that.
Which is why it's now at 11.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mrs. Collins. What is your lowest class size at the high school?
Lowest class size, I have to look that up. I don't have that off the top of my head. I can check.
Is there any way to change how we deliver enrichment programs so we're not reducing access for students, but we're creating more efficiencies with staffing?
Absolutely. That's one of the things Dr. Feynman and I have been working on, looking at how do we partner with local colleges to make sure that our AP courses or our higher level courses are paired with college courses so that more students may be interested in it. For example, world language, how are we offering languages that support across the board so that we have more students who stick with that language. For next year, we are going to be offering a heritage Spanish class for 9th graders and 10th graders. We see a lot of our native speakers stop taking the language because they've met the requirement. So we have a huge enrollment in our heritage class for next year, which the hope would be that by providing them with a more tailored class to their needs as their native speakers, that we will then keep them within the program and increase as they move older into their upper level Spanish 4 and 5 and AP.
Last question. When I remember that you said you surveyed students to see what they were interested in and what they wanted to take, current students. When I first got on the board, we discussed surveying graduates because current students really don't know what they need because of life. They haven't experienced it completely. So where are we with surveying?
So we've been collecting alumni data. We've asked a group of alumni to come back and do some focus groups. This current graduating class has all provided us with data that we'll be using and surveying them at the end of next year. So we have a survey ready to go out to the college freshmen, and then this year these guys will get it next year at the end of their freshman year.
And is that data going to be brought to the community?
Yes, as soon as we compile it. In addition, we enlisted in the fall of last year, we looked at beginning an alumni association. And part of the membership for that association was our thoughts were you have to respond to an annual survey. And that's all it's required for alumni participation in that association. We met with individuals from Manhattan College, their alumni director, who gave us some advice. Mr. Thompson, Josh Thompson, Beth Gruber, Lauren, Dr. Kleinman. We had that conversation. It's on our radar. It's one of those things that as you go through the year, you keep in the back of your mind, and especially with the centennial, it's something that we're looking to revisit as well. So yes, that will serve multi-purposes. I will say this, school districts might be behind the curve on this because for many years we were promised that the state government, the state education department would provide us with that data because they have access to the National Clearinghouse data, and what they're finding is that their data is not accurate because they, for lack of better terms, they lose track of where students go. And that data that they provide us, which was supposed to help us with our demographic data, has not been reliable for years, and they've pretty much given up on the aspect of it.
I anticipate seeing a number of courses presented to the board next year, especially at the high school level, as we continue on with the planned pilot and some of the interdisciplinary learning experiences that we'll be proposing, as well as some of the interests of our students. There was an interest in a climate course, as well as sports management. So those are some things that we'll be looking for next year.
Trustee Hickey, just to clarify, when you say what is the lowest enrolled course, are you looking for current or projected for next year?
I would say this year, what was the lowest enrolled course, like a number, and projected for next year. Just so the community could see if there are efficiencies that can be had. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collins.
And I think you already said, you'll be continuing to monitor enrollment regularly.
Correct. Yes, now is the time of year where we shift from budget, even though we're going to start looking at the 26-27 budget already. We begin to monitor enrollment, both in kindergarten enrollment and new students coming into the district or leaving the district. The board did support the use of contingent positions in this year's budget, which allows us flexibility without having to go into a unanticipated expenditure for any changes we may need to make in staffing due to student need or student enrollment. So we have a few positions that we refer to as contingent positions that would allow us to meet those changes.
Okay, excellent. Anyone have any other questions? All right. That moves us on to our superintendent's update.
Thank you, President Mills. Quite a lengthy update from me this evening. We will start off with an update on our regular and annual lead testing. We, as a district, we maintain compliance with New York State Health Department's lead in school drinking water program. This year we've completed testing of all of our water outlets actually for the 2023 to 2025 time period. While the vast majority of our outlets tested below the state's action level of 5 parts per billion, a small number of these outlets exceeded the threshold, but they have been promptly addressed. In accordance with the health and safety regulations, any of those affected fixtures have been removed from service or marked or marked with appropriate signage, and further investigation and mitigation efforts are underway. And as always, we're letting you know this because the safety of our students, staff, and visitors who might utilize those receptacles remains our highest priority, and we wanted to be transparent in our process. Mr. Merlini is here. I do want to thank him and his staff and the custodial staff for their diligence in monitoring, addressing, and mitigating the findings swiftly and thoroughly. We have placed the full report about our lead testing procedures and the outcomes on our operations and maintenance page on our district website. It's been a busy athletic season despite the brisk weather and the way too many rainy days. It's been a terrific time for our sailors on the sports fields. Our varsity athletes here at Hendrick Hudson have had some terrific results, and we're very proud to recognize them this evening. A few of them, our varsity flag football team, in just its second season, captured its first Section 1 championship when it defeated Ardsley 13-12 at Lakeland High School to win the Class C title on Saturday, May 24th. The sailors, who were coached by Craig Solomon and Dina Bertolini, were led by senior Lucy Mager, who's the quarterback, and she was integral in helping create the program as well. Lucy threw for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns in the victory. Should have had her on a fantasy team. And Hen Hud advanced to the state tournament last weekend, and although the season did come to an end, not the way we wanted it, the team did finish with a very impressive overall 14-4 record, and they're just their second season. So congratulations to our scholar athletes on the flag football team. Also, our varsity softball team advanced to the Section 1 Class A championship this season, upsetting an opponent, Ardsley. We'll make sure that we mention that that's 2 section championships over Ardsley. In the semifinal, that it had lost twice. We actually had lost twice to Ardsley in the regular season. I will give them that, but we won when it counts. Hen Hud played top-seeded Albertus Magnus right down to the last at-bat on Friday, May 30th, at the Havistraw Sports Complex in Rockland County before falling just short of a 3-2 loss. The team, coached by John Glassoff, Amy Glassoff, Rick Boyle, and Alyssa Bleakley, finished with a 15-7 record. Also, our varsity track and field team, coached by Marcia Bailey, had many outstanding performances already this spring, and its season is far from over. Michelle Kuku, Nisa Emery, Elise Smith, and Sophia Stavaggi combined to win Section 1 title in the 400-meter relay. Chloe Howard also won a section title in the 1,500-meter race walk, while Titan Robinson won the title in the pentathlon, and Maida Depavic won the javelin throw, which I always find it interesting to watch the javelin practice. I always try to stay on the other end as they throw. The relay team did qualify for the state championships on June 13th and 14th at Middletown High School. Also qualified for the New York State Federation Track and Field Meet to be held on June 13th and 14th in Middletown. Victor Delgado in the 1600 and 3200 meters. Sophia Stavaggi with the 100 and 200 meter dash. And both have qualified for those 2 individual events. And the track and field team still has many more events this week, and we look forward to hearing about more outstanding results from them. I do want to just provide a brief reminder about the Bell ban on personally owned internet-connected student devices. That is a bell-to-bell ban that is now in effect, not from the start of the period to the end of the period, but from the start of the school day to the end of the school day. We had mentioned last time that school districts are now required to develop a policy by August 25th. We have to consult with staff, other stakeholders, including students, and we have to specify any allowable exceptions to this ban that New York State requires. That includes access to these devices for educational purposes, emergencies, medical needs, translation services, legal obligations, and accommodations outlined in any applicable IEP or 504 plan. And this policy will be made available once crafted and translated in multiple languages. The work has already begun on that policy. We've asked our building principals and their site-based teams and any student advisory committees to provide input on those, on any prospective policy. We met yesterday evening. Many of the individuals at the table here were also at that thrilling meeting to view sample policies on what that ban could look, what that policy could look like. And so we'll continue to look at that feedback as we develop those policies. We also, go ahead.
The goal is for us to have a draft policy up early July for August 1st.
Right, April.
Yes.
Be on the lookout. Either Ms. Joy or myself will be sending out a information collection, either a survey or thought exchange on as another medium or way for people to provide their input. It'll probably come out in my weekly update this week. So we're taking those steps, and we look forward to keeping the community updated. Last time, we did recognize a number of our board trustees for their participation in continued professional learning, but I forgot the certificates. So I would like to present trustees Corey Boudin, Lauren Stanko, and President Erica Mills with Board Achievement Awards for their continued leadership and their dedication to continued growth. And on behalf of the entire district, thank you for your dedication to your roles and your thoughtful leadership and professional development and service of our schools. I'll take it. I'll come to you. How long was it? 100 hours?
And that's just
This was just NISBA, over 100 hours of NISBA training.
So
And then add the Westchester Putnam School Board Association meetings that we've all attended this year. It's significant.
So along with their heavy stipend for board service, if you do 100 extra hours, you get a wonderful certificate. No, in all seriousness, the knowledge, even though this is not a position that is paid for, it is the requirements and demands of the knowledge to carry out the roles of a trustee are quite rigorous. So I appreciate your dedication to your roles and to learning more about them. I do not have any questions requiring follow-up at this time. I will tell my children to go to bed, even though the light is still out. I will now ask Dr. Stephen Garcia, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and Leadership Development, to provide his report to the Board of Education.
Thank you. Are they really up?
They are up.
They are.
Yeah.
My kids would have been sleeping without me.
I would. Your kids can babysit my kids at any time.
Yes, I have $20 an hour. But good evening. Thank you for some time. Just a brief update. So you know that it is June, and we are pretty deep in our search for 3 administrative positions. That's the Blue Mountain Middle School principal position. That is the Hendrick Hudson High School principal position, and also our director of PE Health and Athletics. We are winding down 2 of them to a certain degree. That's the middle school and also the AD search, although we're still obviously in the process. Last Friday was the closing for the high school principal posting. So we have 65 applicants. Some people say, well, that's not that many. That's a lot, to be honest with you. I know we had more for the high school, but it was actually posted longer. The cabinet is currently reviewing all the applicants, and it's our charge to select and identify those who we're going to screen next Friday. I met with the high school faculty on Monday afternoon, and that was a pleasure to get their perspective on their thoughts on the characteristics of the next principal for Hendrick Hudson High School. I had met with some students earlier in the month, and I will have a virtual focus group with parents. I think that is next Tuesday. Based on that, we come up with a composite of leadership qualities, and we do develop our questions for each candidate based on that composite, and I will share that with the board as well. But I think we are pretty much full steam ahead. You know, with the timeline, I think we're on task for the high school principal, which on paper right now is anticipated a possible interview during the, I think the reorg meeting, right, for the Board of Education, and an appointment afterwards. So we're still on task for that, right? We're still on the good timeline. And like I said, I'm confident that in that pile that we have of applicants that we will be able to find the next principal of the school.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. I will now ask Ms. Jill Figuerella, the Interim Assistant Superintendent for Business, to provide her update.
Good evening. So we too have been narrowing down candidates for the treasurer position in the business office. It's been vacant for a couple of months now, and I believe we're down to our final candidate, but we're getting ready to appoint that soon. Our transportation supervisor will be appointed tonight, I believe. She'll be starting for us. I'm not sure if the appointment is tonight, but she'll be starting for us on June 23rd.
Yeah,
so
we did appoint him during the consent
okay.
agenda.
So we'll be seeing a new face in the transportation office, and she'll be joining us prior to the end of the school year, but getting off to a busy summer like we all are over the summer, getting ready for next school year. We are also preparing for our audit. I mentioned it last time. It starts next week. We have a couple of days of preliminary audit, people coming in to work in the business office with all of our staff for a couple of days, and then choosing an area of audit on our internal auditor. That'll be happening on Monday. He'll be speaking with our audit and finance committee on Monday evening, and then we'll report back on that, on what area we think we'll be doing for next year or looking into for next year. So it continues, the cycles continue, and we're starting our annual audit in August. So that's where we are right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Figuerella. And I will now ask Ms. Benita Joy to provide her update from her role as Executive Director for Technology and Innovation.
Good evening, everyone. So the technology team actually we usually distribute our high school student Chromebooks in 8th grade, the last month of school. So we started that process last week. We did a second swap today. So I just wanted to let you know that we're still going to be offering Chromebook insurance for the Chromebooks. But when I came into the district, we actually saw a need for getting warranty on these devices, because we do get a lot of Chromebooks that are broken. So we had a deal with Dell Direct, educational discount that we get, a 4-year warranty on those devices for a cheaper rate of $65 for the 4 years. That could change, but that's what we did buy it as. It only covers the Chromebook one time as a full replacement, but parts are for the 4 years. So when you see my email coming through over the summer about Chromebook insurance, I'm gonna word it that way because I still wanna offer the insurance, because we do have students who break their devices multiple times over the 4-year window. You will see that email coming through over the summer around August to sign up for insurance. But there is a little break in that, because if you didn't, there might be some parents who might be able to take advantage of the warranty. The other thing that we did complete is when we actually had TransFinder integrated with our student information system, which talked to home portal. At the beginning of the year, when we communicate the transportation information, what we noticed was when a student has an alternate daycare location, that information was not on the portal. It was just to and from home. So we were able to complete that programming. So now if you go into your portal, you will see transportation and also transportation alternate. That means that's the bus information for the AM and PM alternate information. We were getting that information out through a letter, or if you call the transportation office. So we were able to complete that work. So we'll be ready for the beginning of the school year with that information. I did meet with the technology. Our last meeting of the technology leadership meeting happened on Tuesday. It was actually a really good meeting. We were able to identify actually for next year 6 areas that we think that we need to provide training based on feedback that we have gotten from staff. Based on technology tickets that comes through, we identify 6 areas tools that teachers needs help on because they're not being utilized properly. The usage is pretty low. In some cases, actually, a lot of even technology members didn't know that we had those tools in place. So it was nice to see people within staff, within the leadership team offer to provide those trainings. So we will be looking forward to providing that next year to our teachers, starting with the GoGuardian for our teachers. So they are able to see what students are doing in the classroom Chromebooks, because a lot of the issues that comes to me is usually because students don't know that we are able to see, right, that illusion or feeling of, oh, I didn't know you can see that. So we will be rolling out some of those trainings along with Mrs. Collins, who's going to be providing some of the PD around a schedule that we will put out for the staff. The other update is we are transitioning away for tech support from EduTech into BOCES. We finished our hiring of all the staff, so they are now onboarded. They're working with our high school and middle school team. Every 2 weeks, we've been rotating them back and forth between the schools so they get familiar with our schools. This year, at the beginning of the year, it was a hard time because I had 2 new staff that started literally on July 1st or September. We had a lot of students that came into the high school. We had a lot of issues around not knowing the building, so I'm glad to see that the 2 staff that are going to be starting with us in the new year is already starting, and there's no cost to the district for May and June. That was actually something that we were able to work it out with the Lyric or the BOCES. And we have 2 current interns and 1 new intern that's going to be starting with us over the summer with the technology team. So that's my update for today.
Thank you, Ms. Joy. Thank you for providing our students with that opportunity.
Quick question. The Chromebooks that were provided to 8th graders, are they new Chromebooks or are they refurbished Chromebooks?
They are brand new Chromebooks. So, I'm sorry?
Nothing. They don't look, because they don't look brand new.
Yeah,
my daughter didn't. They look similar to the ones that they had in elementary school.
So we had 46 students actually today who did not receive one. So that's why we did a second collection. So I don't know if you're.
No, they returned them.
Yeah.
And they were
She
issued
said she got an
another
old one that has.
But
that
it's
same
an old
model.
one.
So if you actually look up on Dell support, you can actually see when they were purchased or deployed. Those Chromebooks has been sitting on our closet, and they were brand new devices that went out.
That's why they appear older, but nobody's used them.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
they're
if you
old
remember
models,
during COVID time, we had such a hard time getting supply in. So up to last year, not this year, last year, I was buying them in advance to be able to get them out in May.
Gotcha.
Right, because the beginning of the school year was very hard to get those out because teachers are like, they need their Chromebook, and it's very hard to do it during the beginning of the school year. So that's why we do the swap at the end of the school year. So this
they're
year,
unused, but they're older models.
So
they're 1 year older.
to
models.
clarify, condition they're new, but
They're
stylish, they're like mine.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
correct.
Thank you.
Yes, they were sitting in the closet, so yes. Fifth graders will be getting new Chromebooks, which they carry 6, 7, 8. Eighth graders get the new Chromebooks for the high school they carry for the 4 years.
Thank you.
So,
Question, currently we have students who use their own, they bring your own device. You mentioned Go Guardian. Are teachers able to see those devices on their Go Guardian? Or is
So-
it just the district issued
So
devices?
if the student is using a district account on them, that means they are logged into Henhud Schools account. We are able to see what they're doing. Now, when you have a personal device, what we cannot control is, yes, they can switch to a personal Gmail account or whatever. Then we are not able to see it. So I have had many teachers, high school, middle school, who say like, we can see all the students on my screen, and I would always tell them, it's your classroom. If you're not seeing them, that means they are not logged into Henhud Schools. They are switching back and forth between the desktop views. So if you're not seeing them, you're allowed to say, hey, you're not, our policy or our requirement is that you're on the district device. If you're flipping back and forth, then you know what, go get a district device that you can use. That's something that the teachers can control, especially with now with the new banning
Yeah,
of,
the ban will be there.
there is a statement in there that says any internet
Enabled device.
connected devices. So we would have to specify that in our policy. What does that mean for us?
Okay.
So you know I'm a recovering director of technology, correct?
Oh, no, I already knew the answer to that question, I just was putting it public, so for that, that's one of the reasons why I'm sure the governor wants to move in that direction, that it's the district ones, because then,
Yeah, and actually, Chris, Lauren, and myself were in actually a meeting hosted by PNW BOCES with the superintendents, and there was a lot of conversation on how different districts are doing it. Some districts are actually saying like they have to put away in a pouch and they have to access the pouch. I know Yorktown was saying like kids were actually saying how they're gonna do that. They said, yeah, this is my iPhone 12, this is my new iPhone 16, the 12 is going in the pouch and 16 is staying with me. So.
That would not
so-
happen here at Henhud.
So there's definitely, you know, false to that. So there are, people are actually saying like, if they don't see it, we're good. And then there is like a place that you can actually use it for emergencies and communicate that out to the parents where they can use a phone or if they need to communicate with their parents.
So I bring up that I was a recovering director of technology for a purpose as well, to put a plug in for the Chromebook insurance. If you think that if you have full trust in your students, just as we do, you still should consider getting it, because if you have furry friends at home, when I was a director of technology, the same family called me up 5 times in the year that the dog ate the charger. So I don't know if they're attracted to the wires, but it could always happen, and we want to make sure our investment is protected and your investment is protected.
I think I had a student at the middle school who actually broke the device 3 times within the same week. So that's what I really encourage, like I don't know the student, the child, but you know your child. Even though on my communications is going to say that we have warranty, please cover those devices, because those conversations are very hard for me to have with the parents.
So purchase the insurance. Highly recommend.
Do you know the cost of it off the top of your head?
The insurance? This year was $32. We have not, I know the insurance company has been talking about raising that price. I have not gotten that information yet.
Thank you. Dr. Reller has provided her update through her report. I'll ask Mr. Chris Moreno, our Acting Director for Pupil Personnel Services, to provide his update.
Thank you. So we are slowly creeping towards our indicator 8 requirement. We're at 83% of our parent surveys that have been returned for our minimum reporting requirement. I would encourage everybody who has received one or has received a link to please fill it out. It will be valuable to inform our practice at the PPS department. Our CSE meetings are fully scheduled except for a few rescheduled meetings. We should be completing all meetings within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we will be turning our attention on finalizing projections and class sizes at all levels. Our Sailor staff and our Sailor high school classes are going to be dedicating a portion of their summer work towards expanding our internal and external work-based learning sites for our Sailor students, and then obviously looking to expand that for a wider variety of our high school population. And then finally, there will be a SEPTA meeting next week that will focus primarily on providing parents and students strategies to avoid summer regression. So if anybody's interested.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. And at that time, other than a follow-up to a question that Ms. Scollins has already provided to Ms. Hickey's question, that AP French has been, for the 2024-2025 school year, AP French has 5 students enrolled, and that is the lowest enrolled course. And AP French is projected to have the lowest enrollment of a course at the high school for next year with 6 students. So there's discussions on how to explore that, which we can share at a later time, but that is the data that you requested. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you to Ms. Scollins for following up on that. At this time, that concludes the cabinet report, and thank you to the cabinet members for your detail and information, and the board for their attention.
Okay, that brings us to board comments, new business. Does anyone have any comments or new business? Okay.
So I do want to say thank you to our cabinet for, they've been here for a majority of the evening, both in our executive session, and we have a wonderful evening of policy ahead of us. You are more than welcome to stay, but you're also more than welcome to enjoy the beautiful evening with the last glimpses of the sun out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Get home safe.
If I could quickly just thank everybody for your support over the years. I know some of you have been less time than others, but I've appreciated through 2 interims for Mike and Dennis, the support that you provided me, but also for, many of the conversations that we've had through the years, whether it was about your individual children or just curriculum in general. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Should have you given a report. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, that leads us to our policy readings.
Nobody wants to say
We are starting with the second reading of Policy 4000, Student Learning Standards and Instructional Guidelines, the Hendrick Hudson School District
Motion
Commission.
to waive the reading.
Second, all in favor? Anyone have any questions on this one?
Just again, second reading, we went through this one, we connected it to the mission statement for the district, and it just goes through all of the standards that are set by the district and the state. Motion to accept policy 4000.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the next policy is the second reading, revision, name change, policy 4200, curriculum management, the mission of the Hendrick.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
This kind of goes in tandem with the last one. Again, it includes a lot of our mission and our vision. It goes through our mission statement starting with, and then it's connected. So it's actually hyperlinked to the New York State Learning Standards. So this way, as New York State updates them, it automatically is updated within the policy.
And this is also a number change to 4200, from 4000 to 4200.
Motion to accept policy 4200.
Second.
All in favor? The next one is second reading, revision, and name change, policy 4526, technology acceptable use policy. The board
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
So again, second reading, we talked about this last time, that we had gone over this with Ms. Joy, and it just goes through all of the acceptable use and prohibited use out there, and the form that the parents should be going over with their child about the using of our internet and devices, and the form that it talks about the form that will be brought up in a little bit for them to sign every year. by both parent and student, or guardian and student,
And
I
this
should
goes,
say.
and that goes via email to every student.
Motion to accept policy 4526.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, then we have the second reading, policy 4526R, regulation, technology acceptable use regulation.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
This just outlines in greater detail all what was just in that last policy, 4526, which is more of the rules and regulations. Motion to accept policy 4526R.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. The next is,
Just a
Oh,
random
sure.
question. Will this be affected at all by the cell phone? It'll
No.
need to be edited or?
No, because that's gonna be a separate policy,
Okay.
just on what you can be using. This is what you can do on the devices that you're
There we
using.
go, okay, got it.
this is the second reading,
That
policy
makes sense.
8650, school district compliance with copyright law, the Board of Education.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second,
All in favor?
yeah, it's second reading, and it goes through that, again, as teachers, you are allowed to make copies of things as long as they are being used within your classroom, and that you're not selling them or any like textbook, workbook material. If you're making photocopies, that you are allowed to use them within the room, but not, don't sell them. Teachers pay teachers.
Never knew about that.
TPT. And it just goes through all of the copyright laws. Motion to approve policy 8650.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the next is second reading, policy 8650R, school district compliance with copyright law regulation. And these are,
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
all in favor? These are the regulations,
Yeah, it's just more in detail.
very specific.
Motion to approve policy 8650R.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, first reading of policy 4771, early graduation, Board of Education in certain
Motion to waive
instances.
the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
This is a first reading. This was again presented from NISBA. It's local. It is not a requirement, but it just goes through how if a student finishes their credits early, what that looks like for early graduation.
Did we have this? This was within another policy previously?
No, that's brand
Yes,
new.
Okay. We'll bring that one back.
I just am noticing something here.
Principal?
The English department chairman, can we change that to chairperson?
Yes.
That's what I'm here for.
It's in the second to last line.
You must have done this one when I left.
Okay, we'll bring that one back. We're at first reading policy 4772, graduation ceremonies, the graduation or
Motion.
commencement.
Second.
All in favor? This outlines commencement ceremonies and participation in graduation and how you participate.
I'm reading here, it just looks at students who may not be able to participate if they had certain violations to the code of conduct. This is also a new policy.
Yes, does anyone have any questions about this policy since it is new?
Will this also need to be revised, like if they change the requirements for regions and?
No, because this is just the ceremony, not the
It's
requirements for the ceremony.
Saw somewhere where it said regions.
It's about who qualifies to walk in the
Oh,
ceremony?
If it mentions
It
regions
does,
Or until
only.
receipt of a region,
Yeah.
students with disabilities, in the second to last paragraph.
So when we structured the learning standards and instructional guidelines and curriculum management, we tailored the wording in such a way that would align with any new updates to standards. We didn't
Yeah.
specifically limit it to X number of regions, X number of.
So it's vague, not.
And it says or
Got it.
local high
Yeah, it
school,
says
which,
regions
you know
or
what,
local.
and the local high school diploma is actually gonna go away, I believe, too. It's,
I anticipate
right,
this
it's just
policy will
gonna be
need an
pathways,
update.
yeah, that will,
Yeah.
because it's just supposed to be pathways, and I don't think they're gonna make a distinction on the type, like the name of it. I think it's just going to be a pathway that leads you to a high school diploma.
So it's good that we update this now, but I
Right.
anticipate coming back to this in
Yeah.
probably a few months.
NYSBA will tell us, right?
Yes, they do. And the way that we have operated that, just as a reminder to the board, is if there's I think a couple months ago, we had a policy update on a Thursday. We updated a policy as a local board on a Wednesday, and over the weekend, NYSBA did a policy update, and we sent that policy update through the weekly update. It's a lot of updates.
And I feel like Carmen will definitely catch these.
Yes.
Yeah, something did come up recently.
Maybe the next one is gonna definitely have to be tagged for, when this one comes up.
This is it here. Yeah, we did this. We're ahead of it. We already did it. It's 56.95. Okay. We're already on top of it. First reading, now we are on first reading revision policy 4. This is the regulations. So 4772R graduation ceremony regulations.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
So again, this is pretty current based upon what we have now, and I'm gonna make the same assumption, Trombley, that we will have to revisit this when the, new
We need to change
pathways
the
are
language.
here. You guys did this after I left.
We need to change the language.
Yeah, there's gonna be in that second to last paragraph, the his, her, and
His,
the
her.
parent or guardians. Do you see that part? Just change that to the, and you can remove the his, her
Regulation
completely in that last
47.2R.
sentence, last part of the sentence. Yeah, I had a baseball game that day, so I left a little
It
early.
was a test for you. You passed.
Baseball is life.
Next one is the first reading revision policy 4773, diploma and credential options for students with disabilities. The Board of Education is.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Again, this will definitely be revised again, and we just don't know when, because I believe last summer when we were at that retreat in Albany, they were talking about those pathways, and it was supposed to be happening soon, but that was almost a year ago, and we're still here, and everyone's still kind of waiting, because I think they were just putting a lot of thought into those pathways being, like equalized, but with different opportunities. So this will,
And the language in this stayed identical from before, other than the graduation ceremony, so it's covered in the other policy now. About at the last paragraph.
yeah.
This one was just a matter of taking that language out of this policy because now it's reflected in the other policy. Okay, that's policy.
I actually have something.
Uh-huh.
So I just, sorry, I'm tired. Last year I brought up some concerns about the Board of Ed elections. And then again on May 14th, I reached out to the policy committee to request a discussion about creating a fairer, more transparent, and more accessible school board election process in our district. I haven't received a response yet. So my days are numbered and I wanted to raise it publicly. I just want to be clear, this is not about stopping endorsements. Organizations like the Teachers Union and even individuals from outside the district, whether they live in New York, California, Texas, or South Carolina, absolutely have the right to financially support candidates. That's not what my question is. What I'm concerned about is how campaign support has changed. We're now seeing political style campaigns, thousands of dollars in funding, robocalls, canvassing, donation websites, most of it happening quietly behind the scenes. And when a majority of the campaign contributions are coming from outside of the community, it raises a fair and important question. Who are the candidates accountable to? Local residents or outside donors? This shift goes beyond just transparency. It affects who feels empowered to run. When I ran, I spent very little money. And if I look at the foils, historically, school board candidates in our district have done the same. Most spent minimal amounts, if anything at all, because campaigning never used to be about money here. Now it feels like you need thousands of dollars just to compete. That creates a real barrier, especially for working parents, young people, retirees, and others who care deeply about our district but can't afford a professional style campaign. If we want to reflect on our district's DEI values, we have to recognize that financial barriers limit who gets to lead and who gets heard. Currently, candidates must file 3 campaign finance statements. But unless someone submits a FOIL request, these aren't visible to the public. And even then, you only get access to the first 2 statements. The third statement is only accessible after votes are cast. That means voters never see the full picture before making a decision. We can and should do better. Other districts, like Scarsdale and New York City, have already taken meaningful steps to make their school board elections more fair and inclusive. In Scarsdale, a nonpartisan school board nominating committee made up of elected community members reviews and recommends candidates based on their qualifications, not their fundraising ability. It's a transparent, community-led designed to promote equity, trust, and above all, equal access for anybody who wants to serve. I'm asking the policy committee and the board to consider what we can learn from models like Scarsdale and New York City. Let's explore setting local spending caps, requiring clear and timely disclosure of all campaign support before the election, considering a community-based vetting process that emphasizes service over fundraising. By making elections more open and fair, we give everybody, no matter their background or their income, a real chance to serve and be heard. And I just want to finish up by saying, this has nothing to do with the people that I'm serving with. This has to do with going forward to make sure that we don't exclude a whole portion of the community from sitting at this table. And that's all I got to say.
Who's going first?
I'm just wondering, as being on the policy committee, how the board, because I'm not sure if that's a board responsibility to monitor and see that. And I'm trying to wrap around, because I feel like part of what was said was counterintuitive, where you want to be more inclusive, so people who maybe financially can't afford, then when they go out and find funding, that we can't do that either. So how can someone who doesn't have funds do that?
So right now, if you look at the historically, nobody 10 years ago used to spend this kind of money on campaign.
I get that, but like times
Okay,
are
so
a little,
let me answer
times
your
are a little
question.
different now, though, in terms
Okay,
of.
so look at the makeup of this table and our financial means. So then it becomes a popularity contest. So if I'm someone who is not on the PTA and I don't know loads of people and I'm just someone who's passionate about education, and I don't have money to compete with you, you've just excluded me from running.
No, because then you would be able to ask for funding if that's what
Who
you
am
want
I
to do.
asking for funding?
Can I just?
People. Whoever you want. I don't know if there should be any, I don't know how to put up parameters for people to say that you can get money here, but you can't, it has to come from your own account.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure it out. If I'm going to be involved in writing a policy, I would like to have all of the information, and right now it just seems that it's counterintuitive.
Well, I think we should look to Scarsdale and New York City because they already have it. So maybe we could actually look into what Scarsdale has.
You go ahead first.
Okay. I want to just start by saying, first of all, we don't get paid for the job we do here, right? And anybody that volunteers, the district should be lucky to have them. Because in everything that's been going on online, people being attacked, I'm a testament to that, right? I was here 10 years and nobody knew me because I was just on the PTA, so people in elementary knew me, right? I poured my money into signs. I poured my money into things that I wanted. People who decided to support me after that, that was on them. Thank you so much for the donation. But that doesn't mean that your values at the core are now somehow less important, or you're also like now compromised because somebody gave you a donation. A donation of $500 or $1,000, it doesn't matter where it came from. The truth of the matter is it came from a person who is willing to put themselves through all the chaos and the nastiness that comes with running for this board. And to say that they are any less valued because they are now saying that you could donate to my page and they don't live in the district, what does it matter? The truth of the matter is, if a single mom decides that she wants to run for the board and she wants to ask for donation, I think it's highly, highly insightful as to who they are as people. Because you know why? People who know them the best are saying, I support you. And that speaks to their character, right? And for anybody on this board to try to tarnish people because they have taken money or they have taken donations, I think is absolutely disgusting. And I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. You can get money from anywhere. If a person that isn't involved in the PTA, you're saying that it's gotten expensive? Yes. You know why? There are people who have moved to this district who don't know everyone, who don't have name recognition. Like me, for instance, when I ran, right? The people in elementary knew me because I was at the book fairs, but the people in the high school and everybody else, they don't know who Tamika Dietrich is. So I spent my own money from my signs. I spent my own money for the things that I did, right? And just because someone gave me a donation afterwards doesn't mean that I'm now corrupt and I have to do what they're saying to do. That's a crazy thing to say. It's like, okay, let's say you ran and you're well off and you just said, hey, I didn't get any donations from anyone and you don't put anything in, but you have the ways and the means to do it, right? But let's say,
I'm not worried about
I'm still gonna finish, okay? I think as a board, we have to separate ourselves from this fight or flight that we've been in for years, right? And it's them and there's us. You and I have been on this board for 2 years, and I have taken genuinely the time to get to know you, okay? And I'm gonna tell you right now, you are one of the people I have come to like. But this whole foil business, it's absolutely disgusting. And I'm just gonna tell you, you cannot truly get to know people and then do something like that and then think that anything that you have learned about them in 2 years valued. It doesn't, okay? And it starts with this board. It starts with this board saying to ourselves, we are all gonna stand together and stop tearing other people down. Because what you do is the same thing you're doing right now, people do online. The way you go online and you write as a parent, you're commenting as a parent, that's the divide that's being created over and over again. Let it go. Nobody is corrupt. Nobody is compromised. We sit here for 5 and 6 hours in a meeting away from our families. You think we're doing this because somebody gave a $500 donation? It's because we all care. Just respect people for taking the step and saying, I'm willing to put myself out there and do this. Stop tarnishing people. And when it comes from people like us sitting on this board, it's absolutely disgusting. It just opens up the same wound again. Stop. Stop it.
Okay, I want to respond Because you want to know what, Tamika? Out of everyone on this board, I appreciate your honesty and your candid. And I actually think that when you say something, you own it and you don't backtrack and there's no sneakiness. So I really want you to know that I think you're personalizing what I did and it has really nothing to do with you. And it comes from your statement, who would even want to do this with the attacks that have been online? And I agree with you. So you have people who wouldn't want to do it because of the attacks online, and the people who don't have the financial means to do it. So now let's take that. I specifically said that it's not about endorsements. It's about transparency. So if you are, let me finish.
No, I'm gonna let you finish. I'm just getting the mic.
It's about transparency. It has nothing to do with a single mom. You know what really it has to do with? I'm gonna tell you what it has to do with. Because I'm not in this little group or anything else that goes on. It has to do with the fact that I lived with the power plant closing in my district, okay? And I've seen the same type of tactics get people on the board whose sole focus is to cut taxes. So you all think that it's about you. You need to let go of your own personal stuff and realize I'm caring more about everyone being able to serve.
You're conflating like several things right now.
Can I just say one thing?
I'm not going to go back and forth on it, Stephanie. I've said what I had to say and I stand by it. The divide needs to end, and this kind of anger and tarnish that continues to be pushed and peddled has to stop. The only way we're going to heal as a community is if we all stop it. And it starts with us sitting at this board and doing what's right for this community and continuing to bring up things like this and trying to paint people in a certain way.
I'm not painting anybody.
Okay, you have a right to your opinion, and I've said what I had to say. I'm not gonna talk anymore.
I want to give you the opportunity to.
Sure. I just wanted to say, I think though you're indirectly saying things without saying them, and it does make people feel a certain type of way. I've put in 2 years on this board. I know I'm hoping that you get to see the work that I'm putting in, and I would love to say that I would want this opportunity again and that I would want to run again, but at this moment, based on the fact that everything that I'm doing is going to be foiled, or that if I were to ask for donations, if that was a choice that I was going to make, that I'm going to have to question all of these things, and it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good, and it doesn't, at this moment right now, it doesn't make me say, I would want to put myself out there and do this. I think we have to think about the community.
No one will.
It shouldn't have to
Nobody
be foiled, Amelia.
Everybody
The
will
information
avoid this.
should be online before you vote. That's my purpose. Nothing should have to be foiled. All of this information should be transparent online.
If a student wanted to go on a trip and they couldn't afford it, do we have to let everybody know that somebody sponsored
Okay,
them?
come on.
Okay.
I'm asking a question.
You're running for board. I should know what's going on.
You should know my
And you
financial
do know.
status.
You foiled it, so you can know. You have all the information. It's right there. But you're saying that because people take donations, that's
Okay,
also a problem.
First of all, this is not new. You knew I foiled it last year.
And it didn't feel good then either.
Hold on, let's circle back here. Okay, let's circle back here. First of all, I want to say that just as far as our board protocols go, Stephanie, I did not know that you were going to read a statement tonight,
Yeah.
and it would have been fair. And again,
No, she didn't.
A little transparency.
hold on.
Yeah, there's that word
Let
again,
me
right?
finish.
Only
Let
when it's
me
convenient.
bring this back.
Sorry.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna go here. There's gonna be another foil. My other foil, speaking of transparency, is you messaging on that computer. And I will foil the records for this open meeting law because you are messaging people about what's going on at this meeting. And I wore my glasses
I'd like to
tonight
make a
for
motion
to figure it out.
I would like to make a motion.
You need to get a hold of this quickly.
I'd like to make a motion to pause this conversation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we're gonna hold this conversation here for a moment. trying to make sure that that was the proper motion. Okay. Well, I think we should end the meeting. I think we
Yeah.
should move on. We're gonna end the
Should
meeting
move
now.
to
We're done.
We don't want to.
This just got real.
Do we have committee reports to give?
I
have
I
a
think
committee
we should-
report on.
I think that we should just close the meeting.
Motion to close the meeting. Oh, motion to
Move to exec.
move to executive session.
Oh, yeah, for the purpose of,
Oh, she has to read.
for the purpose of collective negotiation under Taylor law, medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment or employment or promotion or demotion or discipline or suspension or removal of a particular person or corporation, and for superintendent's evaluation. Do I have a motion to move into exec?
Motion to move into exec.
Second?
All in favor?